WCIA 3 forecast first.
Very cold temperatures tonight. 1 degree is the current reading in Champaign. It is now 0 in Bloomington. With the wind factored in, our wind chill values are between 15 and 20 degrees below 0 at this time. As we look, there's obviously a wind chill advisory in effect here for several of our counties. We're going to see these wind chills below 0 all night long. On the WCIA 3 weather app, the hour by hour showing those temperatures. The actual air temperature at 2 below in the morning, eventually working our way out of the single digits late in the day. WCIA 3 News starts right now.
Now on WCIA 3 News.
They clear the roads as soon as snow hits, but how did they decide which streets to do first? We found out for you.
The Ying Zhang murder case may have taken a big turn today, what his lawyers have asked for.
This city got smaller, and it got whiter.
He talks tough on race while on the campaign trail, but some say his record at the U of I shows a different story. What they say he did that hurts black enrollment.
You're watching your local news leader. This is WCIA 3 News at 10.
If I would have known it was this cold, I wouldn't have came out.
Last night, people had to worry about the snow, and tonight, they're fighting the bitter cold. Good evening, I'm Aaron Bennett.
And I'm Jessica Coons. Temperatures are dropping across central Illinois, and if that wasn't bad enough, the wind isn't helping much either. WCIA 3's chief meteorologist Kevin Lighty joins us from the Weather Center. Kevin, what makes these wind chills so dangerous?
Yeah, you know, when you've got the wind out there, okay, combined with already cold temperatures, this is some bitter cold here. And the reason that it's so bad is because when that wind comes across your body, normally your body got that 98.6 degree temperature, you got that thermal layer right there. That wind comes in and just kind of blows away that thermal kind of warmth you've got around your body. So when you've got those winds like that, it can be really rough. So you want to dress in layers. You want to cover the exposed skin. As far as your car goes there, you want to keep that tank half full with gas. So that helps out. And when you're inside tonight, of course, those faucets and whatnot, you want to make sure you've got those. And don't forget about the pets in this bitter cold weather too. Obviously, if it's cold for them, it's cold for us, cold for them as well. And how about this for a comparison for you? Currently right now in Anchorage, Alaska, it's 30 degrees. Currently right now in Champaign, it's 1 degree. Perspective for you there.
Don't like to see that. All right, some good advice. Kevin, thank you. Now, school closings are rolling in for tomorrow. You can watch those on the bottom of your screen, or you can check our website, illinoishomepage.net, for updated information. And thanks to a hefty snowfall, plow drivers say this is the most work they've done in years.
Yeah, if you were out today, you saw them clearing the roads, and though it's been a while since they've had this much to do, you were probably reminded it's a process that does take some time, a lot of time to complete. WCIA 3's Aaron Eads is live inside the Champaign Public Works garage tonight. So, Aaron, how do they decide which roads to plow first?
Well, Aaron, there is a method to it, and sorry to tell you, your street probably isn't at the top of their list. So I want to know what was at the top of their list and who decides that.
How many winters could you do this for?
I've been with the city 25 years.
I started in 1992, so this is my 25 years.
We spent some time with the 25 Club.
Yeah, we're showing our age.
But if you take plow driver Dave Richmond's word for it, this wasn't really the storm of the quarter century.
This is a pretty easy storm.
Lame and easy. He calls it as he sees it.
Having done it for 25 years, it's not a very big event.
Either way, he's got to do the job. Right now, you're seeing him clear Broadmoor Drive, but he certainly didn't start here.
Basically, it's main route and then secondaries.
It takes time to get around the city. You know, we've only got 14 large trucks.
Supervisor Brock Summers manages the winters. Stationed at headquarters, he assists a dispatcher, monitors trucks' locations, and watches the weather.
Every storm's different. Temperatures on this one are dropping off severely on the back side of it, which makes anything that we have wet freeze.
You heard him say the city has 14 trucks. First things first with those, they all run on 7 primary routes. There's 350 miles worth of them, so getting them all clear takes a bit. Plows work on those for up to 12 hours after it stops snowing.
We try to get the main routes cleared first.
By their design, 95% of homes are within 3 blocks of a primary route. Then Then they move to secondary routes, which likely means your street. But it doesn't mean homeowners are always happy to see them when they eventually come around.
They've worked to get their end of their driveway cleared, and you're trying to get the road cleared from curb to curb, and you run into a little bit of conflict where you have the snow at the end of the driveway, and they're tired of seeing it, and in a way you don't blame them.
Now, the supervisor says they're working on redesigning the primary routes for next year. That's not because the roads are changing. Rather, they hope to have 2 more trucks working on those routes and will therefore be able to divide out the routes into another primary one, and they can take fewer trips to get everything else done. Live in Champaign, Aaron Eads, WCIA 3, your local news leader.
All right, some good insight behind the scenes there for us, Aaron. Thank you. Now, as for the order that the streets are plowed in Urbana, the decision is made a little bit differently. Like Champaign, Urbana also has primary routes that are cleared first, but Urbana's residential areas are divided into 16 different zones. Every year, the zones that get plowed first are rotated. If your zone was first this year, it'll be last next year.
The interstates were dangerous driving this morning. 2 people were killed in 2 different accidents. The first happened near Thomasboro on I-57. A 58-year-old man from Savoy died after 2 trucks crashed. The other deadly crash happened on I-55 just south of Springfield. A 44-year-old man from Springfield died when he lost control of his car. He hit a bridge and collided with a pickup truck.
New at 10 tonight, the lawyers for the man accused of kidnapping and killing Ying Zhang are trying to get his trial moved. Brent Christensen's defense filed a motion for a change of venue today. No word yet on when the judge could decide or where it could be moved to. Zhang's body has still never been found, but the FBI believes she is dead. A candidate for governor is clashing with leaders of his own party. In an exclusive interview with WCIA, Democrat Chris Kennedy says he's being punished by party leaders for telling the truth. WCIA 3's Capitol Bureau Chief Mark Maxwell joins us live from Springfield tonight. And Mark, Kennedy's approach has ruffled some feathers.
Aaron, Chris Kennedy has attacked House Speaker Michael Madigan, the powerful Cook County Assessor Joe Barrios, accusing them of running what he calls a crooked property tax system. He's also just recently taken up a new line of attack against Chicago's mayor on lines of explosive comments about race, education, and poverty. And Kennedy says higher education is the ticket out of a land of poverty or where violence may occur, especially in areas in Chicago. Yet our review of his time at the University of Illinois shows that he raised tuition several times while African-American enrollment dropped off steadily.
This city got smaller, and it got whiter.
From the earliest days of his campaign, Chris Kennedy's speeches included a heavy dose of tough talk on race and education. Earlier this month, Kennedy attacked Chicago Mayor Rahm Emanuel for closing schools in predominantly black neighborhoods to pave the way for wealthy developers.
I think that's part of a strategic gentrification plan being implemented by the city of Chicago to push people of color out of the city.
Many black voters are drawn to Kennedy's message. Others remain unconvinced.
People here in the city, they see right through people.
Evan Moore teaches journalism in Chicago.
They've been saying this stuff for years, for decades before Kennedy showed up. So it's kind of one of those things where the message is solid, but the messenger probably shouldn't be the one giving the message.
Kennedy says higher education is the key to lifting people out of poverty. But in Champaign, college students say Kennedy's record as board chairman doesn't match his rhetoric on the campaign trail. Kennedy was chairman from 2009 to 2015. During that time, tuition jumped 27%.
I tie the rising of tuition directly to the pricing out and the lack of African-American people on the campus.
I asked Kennedy if there was a connection. Do you think there's any correlation between those two?
No, I don't think that's what occurred. I think the major decline in African-American enrollment at the University of Illinois occurred between 2009 and 2010, before anything the new board did could possibly have affected those outcomes.
His first year as the board chairman saw the biggest drop in black enrollment. Over a 6-year span, it would fall 15%.
We were coming into it, I was at least, in 2009 when the Great Recession all over the world was having a devastating impact on the economy, and that certainly contributed to what was going on.
These policies continue, and he has not answered for these other than giving us this, things are complicated, I was trying to do this, there was a recession, but yet tuition goes up
Sure, because we needed to fund greater scholarship dollars to make that school more affordable to people who weren't at the top end of the economic spectrum.
Kennedy says he prioritized diversity on campus, including outreach to students from Chicago. But rising tuition rates can blunt those efforts.
Sometimes when the school raises tuition, that pushes out students, particularly poor students. But there's definitely a correlation there.
Right now, we have 500 black graduate students on this campus out of 13,210 graduate students. That's a 3.8%. That's incredibly embarrassing and terrible.
Now, Kennedy's critics have asked, where was he on these issues, talking about them in the public for all these years? They say he just started talking about it when he ran for governor. We asked the Kennedy campaign. They handed over pages of notes from his public speeches talking to business executives about issues of race and diversity dating back to at least 2011. There's also a separate study from the Illinois State Board of Higher Education, Aaron, that says that declining black enrollment at higher education and universities is a statewide issue with several contributing factors like a slow economy and cuts to MAP grants.
All right, definitely something to keep an eye on as this campaign for governor continues. Mark, thank you for that tonight. Well, a recent E. coli outbreak has turned deadly, and one expert says the source might be nearly impossible to trace. Illinois and Indiana are among the 15 states with reported cases. People affected say they felt sick between November 15th and December 12th. A U of I professor who studies foodborne illnesses says we may never know for sure where and when that contamination happened, but it's easy to understand why several people have gotten sick.
You can kill the organisms by cooking your hamburger appropriately, and that's really the key, cooking the food appropriately. But in the case of this latest outbreak, it was associated apparently, has never been proven, with romaine lettuce. Well, no one tests romaine lettuce for E. coli.
The E. coli outbreak has killed at least one person and put several others in the hospital, but officials say it may be over soon.
Well, they can dribble and they can shoot, but what's really impressive is how they do it. We'll tell you who's coming to Champaign.
Plus, it's not a record Illinois basketball is proud of, but they're hoping to break that streak tonight. And still to come.
It's cost me as much as, I think, $350 one time a few years ago.
But it's going to be a lot cheaper than that to fly to one big city. Wait until you hear how little it could cost you.
Hi, from your local news leader, Aaron Bennett, Jessica Coons, Central Illinois' most accurate forecast with meteorologist Kevin Lighty and Brett Behrens on sports. You're watching WCIA 3.